Hi everyone. Today we're super excited to be interviewing these two amazing women, Jodie and Emma, who are on a mission to help business women kick ass by creating rockstar brands. Throughout their career, Emma and Jodie have helped build over 300 brands and have built their own multi-million-dollar agency called Tiny Hunter. And you would have heard us talk about Tiny Hunter in the previous episode. This is why we brought them in. And they believe that knowledge is power, so that they had a calling to launch this awesome education platform for women who want to build great brands. And it's called the Brand Brigade. So the Brand Brigade is about empowering all businesses to take a more strategic approach to brand building. And this is something that is normally reserved for large organizations with big budgets who can afford, expensive branding agencies. However, you can now afford this through the Brand Brigade with Jodie and Emma, who have packaged that all wisdom into online courses that you can consume at your own pleasure. So welcome, Jodie and Emma. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much, Jovana. Thank you so much for having us.
We have been really excited, Milena and I. So Milena is here, and if you're actually, you might be listening to this on the podcast, but we're also on YouTube, so you can see us if you'd like to watch this on big TV. And Milena and I were just really, we spent around maybe 2 hours talking about our new branding, how excited we are. And this podcast is all about helping business owners fall in love with their businesses. And I think you guys have helped us do that in our businesses through the whole branding process that we went through. So we're super excited.
Nice. We're really, really pleased that that's been the outcome, because, you go into business with so much passion that, you want to continue to be in love with your business and to continue to get up every day and be super excited about your business.
Yes. And that's what we want our listeners and what, viewers to experience. So let's think about something that maybe our listeners would really appreciate, and let's get to the point. How do we build a rockstar brand?
I think one of the really important things to think about with building a rockstar brand is taking the time in the beginning to really clearly articulate the strategy and the positioning, because I think it's really easy to talk about marketing because that's kind of shiny and fun, but marketing only really works if you've got the right foundations. So we've defined our process, which is 9 steps for being a rockstar brand, and that is, your purpose and your values, points of difference, and all those sorts of things. So you need to define that first. Then you need to bring it to life. So that's where you get into the brand identity and your tone of voice and things like that. And then once you've got all those foundations, then it's about the amplification, which is the marketing side of things. So that is how you build a rockstar brand.
Without cutting any corners, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of people would cut corners when it comes to their own brand building. I think brand is a logo.
Yeah.
It's something more, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, brand is basically your perception out in the marketplace. It's how your audience perceives you. And so in order to create that perception, it's quite holistic. It's not just about that logo. And so it's, there's quite a process in creating that perception. And, through our Rockstar Brand course, we take people through that journey in terms of all the points and the pillars to create that perception. And it's funny, when we do start working with particularly small business, they're very good at their product or their service. And, that's where they put all their energy and all their passion. But what they don't realize is that you have to actually set up the foundations and get that strategy right for your brand to really grow and succeed and connect with your target audience and achieve the sales that you desire. It's kind of like we like to use the analogy of like if you're building a house, you don't just jump into building it. You have to plan it really carefully. Where's the bathroom going? What's and even in the visuals, what's the wallpaper's going to look like? What's the color palette? So you've got to plan it all really carefully before you go out gung ho into the world.
It can, if you don't have the right foundations, your house can just topple down on you.
Exactly.
That's what we're talking about.
It might look okay for a little while, but it's not going to last the distance.
Not in this Australian weather.
about someone, I'll just jump in. So if someone is just starting out, obviously they have a small budget to start with branding. What would you advise them to start with first? How should they think about their brand at the beginning of their journey?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because you can, look, if you've got the budgets and you want to set up strategically right from the beginning, obviously that's a really good thing to do from, right from the get-go, making sure that you're appealing to your target market and you're set up for growth. However, we're also big believers in making sure that you do have a great product or a business or a service that people are going to want and love, and that it's really geared towards what your customers want. So we do believe in kind of getting to market, creating a minimal viable product, and then testing it and seeing what resonates and what works, and then making sure you've got a good proof of concept. And then once you're really sure about that, then you can invest and put more money into actually working strategically. So sometimes it might be you want to get the branding right from the beginning, but others might be a year or two into launching a business before you then come back and really get the strategy set.
I think that's really good, because when we started out, we didn't really actually know much about branding, and we thought we knew branding with logos and just experience. But after we worked with you guys, like the whole new world has opened up, and it's just the way we start to think about our business has changed a lot. We started to be in the league of these big guys, I guess. And we just really, as Jovana said at the beginning, we really fell in love with our business again, I have to say. So let's say someone has been in business for a while and they've got this proof of concept. At what point in their journey should they think about now going through a rebrand? Because we've been doing this 5 years, Bumper Leads, and we've had couple of small rebrands in our own way, but when we did the whole rebrand with you guys, that was obviously different. So when should somebody really go through a rebrand after they have that proof of concept?
Actually, maybe can I add, why should we rebrand? Should we be rebranding?
We definitely don't believe that people should just rebrand for the sake of rebranding. It's all about identifying a problem. So if you have a problem which we can put down to branding, then we know that you might need to look at the brand and do a rebrand. So some examples of problems might be, am I not making enough sales? That's the big one. Am I finding it hard to build a following or build an audience? Do I not get many referrals? What else?
Like not attracting the right customers. So you've got people coming to you, or people are not prepared to pay what you think your service or product is worth, because maybe you're not reflecting its worth. Yeah.
So when you kind of hit those problems, you go, okay, this is a good indication that you may have a branding problem.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of the businesses we talk to, majority of them don't know it's a branding problem. It's all those other things. People might think that they need to do more marketing or they need a new website or things like that. But most of the time there's a fundamental branding problem. So just doing a new site or doing new marketing is not going to fix it.
It's a Band-Aid approach. They've got to get back to the foundation, getting really clear on, what their point of difference is, who their target market is, what's the emotional and rational benefit of their brand, how are they actually solving problems for their customers, and getting really clear on those things. What's the personality of the brand? What are your values? Getting those foundations right and making sure it's connecting with your audience.
Do you guys have like brands that you admire?
Oh my gosh, I'm a brand junkie.
You would never have guessed.
I mean, I once was in Italy and I fell in love with an Italian brand, Ortigia. It's called Ortigia. It's a beauty brand. And it wasn't really global at that stage. And I was just walking the back streets of Florence and I came across this amazing shop front with all these really bright colors and beautiful designs and these bars of soap that were translucent and just so beautiful. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I just had such a crush that I actually stalked the founder of the brand until they agreed to meet me. And I went and met them and just, was having a moment. But yes, at the moment, I really love the brand Go To by Zoe Foster Blake. and she's Australian. She's a beauty writer and comedian, and anyway, she's a fantastic woman. But what I love about her brand is that she's actually kind of flipped beauty on its head. So she's made it really accessible and fun. I mean, I feel like beauty always had a bit of an elitist feel to it, and it's almost like you had to be a supermodel to engage with these beauty brands. But yeah, I love the way that she's positioned the brand, and she's made it really fun and accessible.
One of the brands I really love, just to take it to a different extreme from beauty, is Who Gives a Crap. So I don't know if you know them,
yes.
but yeah, so they recycled toilet paper, subscription model. I think they're great on a number of fronts. I think they've solved a pain point for people. So running out of toilet paper is a nightmare. And, you know, if you're on a subscription, that doesn't happen. They donate 50% of their profits to, you know, build toilets in developing countries, which is amazing. But I think also just from a brand point of view, they've really got a unique identity. So they've got a really kind of cheeky tone of voice, and they bring that to life really consistently. The other thing I really like about them is that they are big believers in that idea of testing, I guess not waiting till something's perfect. They like to put things out to a small group, test them, get the feedback and iterate. And I think that's a really smart way to run a business.
Milena is like,
I'm on their newsletter. I get their newsletters, and they're really fun.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah,
I think Milena subscribed to it during the pandemic, right?
I was a bit late. A bit late. There was a huge. I had to be on a waiting list.
Oh, I know, right?
Yeah,
very popular.
Yes, it's quite topical this year, toilet paper, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you have a question, Milena?
No. So I think we've got a list of questions. We can just run through them if that's okay.
Yeah, go for
Sure.
What have I got here? So let's say we've got this rebrand. We've done the whole rebrand with you guys. How do we ensure that there's consistency now with branding, with the voice, with the colors, with the whole identity remains true as we've agreed?
Yeah, it's like I like to say it's like the really unsexy but most important part of branding is the consistency. So you've spent this time, you've defined your brand properly, you've brought it to life. Now it's all about consistency. So like you mentioned, having a tone of voice so that people have a reference in terms of when they're writing copy, how it should sound. Brand guidelines is something that you can have, which you can use internally, and you can also give to third parties. And then I guess someone that's being a bit of a brand guardian that has that eye of, is this on brand or not? Because I think we can tend to get a little bit bored and want variety, but that's because we're exposed to our brands all the time. We need to be consistent. It's not about, you know, what we feel like doing on any given day. It's making sure that we're being true to the brand. It's so important.
Yeah, and on that note, we are watching you.
Oh no, you're following us on social media, following us everywhere. Can you outsource branding? Like, can you outsource that
responsibility
to someone?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, at our agency we offer brand guardianship, and lots of agencies would, where, once you've gone through the process, it's just having those checkpoints or even monthly meetings to make sure everything's on track and, aligned to the style guide and the strategy. The strategy as well as the brand guidelines it's almost like your Bible, like your checklist. Anything you're doing with the brand, you want to check in against these all the time to make sure that you're heading in the right direction.
And it's not just about what you're doing in terms of a brand and how it looks. It's literally, you might be thinking of introducing a new product or service or making a change in the business. It's really fundamental to all business decisions to go back to the strategy.
Yeah, even hiring.
Yeah.
Even, culturally, internally hiring. You're making sure you're hiring to your values. It's really important. Yeah.
So it's like a fabric.
Yes.
Business fabric, your branding.
Yeah, we call it the blueprint.
The blueprint.
Yeah.
What happens if, we have some clients that work in these really unsexy industries like engineering? I'm going to say engineering because I'm so sorry for the listeners. And, I mean, what do you do with these kind of boring industries? How do you pop in terms of that? Like, how do you stand out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the branding process, whether you're a beauty brand or an engineering company, it's equally as important. And it's, if you come back to what's the purpose of branding, and it's about your perception out there in the marketplace. It's making sure you're kind of molding the right perception, in terms of your point of difference, in terms of what you do, in terms of attracting the right audience. And so it doesn't matter if you've got B2C customers or B2B, it's still about perception. So if you're an engineering company, you're going to be competing against other engineering companies, within the space. So why are your prospects or your customers going to choose you over the next engineering company? And so this is what the branding process helps define and make sure that we're getting clear on. And it's interesting because it's not just about the words you use on the page in terms of communicating that message. Every decision you make with your brand communicates. So the visual choices you make communicate. So for example, if you're an engineering company and you're saying, I'm trying to think of an example. We have specialists. I don't know what you do in engineering. I'm really sorry. If we have world-class,
concrete specialists.
Concrete specialists.
That's a thing. I know concrete specialists. The strength of concrete is an absolute art.
Yeah, if we have that in your brand, and then I think engineers do the planning though. I don't think they put the concrete.
No, they don't put it, but it's part of the planning, I swear. Anyway, we're on a tangent now.
Anyway, if that's your claim, if that, we talk about 3 uniques in part of the branding process. Like, what are those 3 things that make you special, that are authentic to you, but actually position you in a way that, in terms of your audience, really caring, and it's hitting needs or wants from your audience point of view. And you're communicating that not only through the way you look, because if you're saying you're experts, you're best in the field, and then your brand doesn't reflect that by the choices you've made, then there's a disconnect, and it does affect the overall positioning feel, or perception feel, right? So, when you hear about a brand and you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Then you get to the website and you're like, oh,
really?
and you might not be able to put your finger on what it is that doesn't make them feel as sophisticated, but it's just an overall feel, and it's all the choices you make to create the overall feel that affects perception. So it is equally important.
And one thing I would add to that is we talk a lot about the emotional connection with the audience, and some people, I think, feel it's not as important in B2B, but there's actually been studies that show it's even more important. So just because it might be dry and it might be B2B or whatever, it doesn't mean that isn't important. So yes, the same process applies.
Interestingly, we've been working on a B2B brand, not a sexy brand in terms of, industry, within the mining industry, actually. And they recognized that it's now time that they had a consumer-facing relationship as well. So even though the sales get made through the big mining companies, they had an environmental aspect to what they do. In order for the mining companies to have them even on the list, or preference number 1 or number 2, if customers, or the perception out there, in the wider world, is that this is a really amazing brand, it really helps in the B2B process.
That's good to know. Look, I'm kind of thinking about Tesla, and how Elon Musk has got this presence, and I think he's becoming more of the epitome for the younger generation of engineers, and being, this cool guy that's coming up with all these futuristic, visions beyond our own expectations, and it allows us to dream and be, take us on a journey together to space.
Totally. Like I feel like, people used to idolize movie stars and rock stars, and I feel like now we're in an era where the founders of brands, because brands have such huge impact on the world, almost have become those rock stars.
Hence the Rockstar brand method.
Yeah, that's why we call that our course name, because you can become, super famous and someone that people aspire to, as the founder of a brand.
I'm gonna add this Richard Branson from Virgin. He's done a good job of making himself as the brand of Virgin, and And he's also one of the figures that people aspire to, and they always quote, and he's like this cool, or similar to Tesla. But when we found out recent news of, Virgin being, just before coronavirus hit here in Australia.
The travel industry, yeah.
Yeah, the travel industry got really affected, and he had to sell the brand. I actually felt really sad because I was like, what's going to happen? I felt this like it was like a breakup feeling.
Yeah.
What's going to happen now? Who's going to buy this? Is it going to be the same relationship that I had before? I really enjoy flying Virgin Air, and it was just interesting to be part of it, to experience that. And why am I so attached to this brand?
Yeah, no, it's a really good observation, Milena. Like, what brands that do branding really well, they're very, very good at building a tribe.
Yes.
How they do that is it's not just about what you do and how you do it, but it's why you do it. And Richard Branson is a master at this. He's been able to articulate his bigger purpose in the world. And when that belief system, that bigger purpose aligns with what you resonate with, then you connect with the brand on an emotional level. And it creates a really strong bond, bond that's not easily broken. And it actually becomes even more important than your relationship with the actual product. Yeah. So, and Richard, I'm calling him first name, like I know him. My best friend here. He's a master at that. So when you have any kind of interaction with the brand, the foundation of it is, can you even guess? Can you guess what like the core thought behind the Virgin brand is?
Fun.
Yes.
It is.
It is.
Lifestyle item.
Yeah. It's like the foundation of the brand is anti-establishment, fun-loving. So he's always kind of you've got that really cheeky attitude to the brand and
bit of a rebel.
Rebel. And so Jodie's mention about consistency is so important. He's able to actually show that through all aspects of the brand. So it doesn't matter where you interact with the brand, you get that feeling.
Yeah.
And then you're able to categorize Virgin, go, oh, it's all about this. And that's amazing because, I'm a rebel and I'm anti-establishment and I really resonate with that message. And therefore, this is my brand. And you can see how you can create that really strong emotional bond with the brand.
Yeah.
And he's increased.
See it.
Yeah, sorry, Yelena. Yeah, he's increased the value of Virgin that way, right?
Oh yes, absolutely.
The asset, So it wasn't really like hard to sell the business, right? It's it's just continuing his legacy, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So is this something? Let's talk about the brand brigade.
Just on that point,
sorry.
just quickly, like I don't think you should feel too sorry for Richard Branson.
No, Melena's feeling sorry for herself.
Because he does own a lot of things, including an island. So I miss him. He'll be fine.
Chilling on Necker Island.
Yeah. He's already moved on from our relationship.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, so I mean, with the listeners who are tuning in, they're obviously, somebody might be looking to use this opportunity over the Christmas period because we'll be publishing this maybe next week, I think.
Yes.
And so they'll be working and thinking maybe on holidays, but they could be working on their branding too, because I think it's a perfect time. So the Brand Brigade, can you tell us more about the Brand Brigade and your mission behind that and what people can do to really take that branding to the next level without that big budget that usually Virgin has?
Yes. So we launched the Brand Brigade at the beginning of this year really because we wanted to take everything that we'd learnt in the last 20 years or so building brands and make it actually accessible for smaller businesses. So our mission is really to change the stat that is a little terrifying, with over 50% of businesses failing in small businesses in the first 5 years. So basically it's an education platform. We write articles every week so you can sign up and get a lot of free advice. Also on Instagram, we're posting constantly brand and marketing advice. But then we also have a course, which is how to build a Rockstar brand. And that is 13 modules, so 25 lessons, self-paced, but we also jump on a live Q&A on Zoom every week so people can drop in and get tailored advice from us as they're progressing through it. So in terms of an affordable way to start working strategically for us is the reason that we made this course. So it's normally $697 US, but we would love to offer all the listeners a discount code. So for 30% off, just got to type in 30BL. So 30.
That's the promo code.
BL. Yeah, that's the promo code.
Just for your listeners only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we put it on I was going to put it in the show notes, but that would be everybody.
That's fine.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Anyone that's in your vortex.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was the discount code again?
30BL. BL for bumper leads.
Okay. I was wondering what that was.
And so they would have to go to the website, which I'll include in the show notes as well. But the website is thebrandbrigade.com.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And will they be able to, how long is this course? How long is this whole?
So the course is self-paced. It is, so really 13 modules. You could just decide to do one a week and it will take you a few months, or you could decide you're going to take a few days and just work on it intensively. I guess if you spread it out a bit, it's great, because I think a lot of value comes from jumping on the calls and being able to talk to us about it as well.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a lot of new courses we'll be releasing in 21. So
Awesome.
stay tuned for those.
And you also get to be part of our Facebook group as well, where you can ask questions. And, as other people are doing the course as well, they're coming on the live chats. And so it's also an opportunity to share. So we're finding that other businesses are sharing, their journey, and it helps others as well. So it's a very collaborative approach.
Yeah. Community.
Yeah, it's a big community. I think you need that definitely, because, we were leveraging you guys for now 3 months, and it's like, I can't see that ending, because I still feel like I need that ambassador or somebody to watch the brand, brand police.
The brand police, yeah.
The brand police.
I tend to be a brand police whether you want me or not.
Yeah. It's like, excuse me,
I can see something.
So it's great that, the business owners can go and take the course, and then they have access to you directly, and you can give them feedback, and professional feedback they need to take their brand.
And I think it's really good, because I think, as business owners, it can be hard. Like, it's hard, really. It's hard. Business is hard, and it can be lonely. So having that community and the support it's really good.
Yeah, what we find works really well is, as people are going through the course, if they're collating their questions, and so when we jump on these live chats every week, then they can just hit us with those questions, and it's like, a lot of progress very quickly.
That sounds like a great value. So I think to finish off, how about we, if you guys have an interesting quote or something that you can share with the listeners that could inspire them to think about branding or something like that. Is there a mantra that you live by?
Inspire them to think about branding. I've got one. What comes to mind for branding? I've got one I like to say, which is, boring is boring. Got to have fun in life. You've got to be memorable. Yeah. So that's one I like to live by. And the one that I quite like is, progress, not perfection, because I think we can, as business owners, get really caught up in trying to make things perfect. But like Em said, get it out quickly, get feedback, adapt, really listen to your customers. So I think that's another good one. If you kind of squirrel away until things are perfect, you're too late.
Yeah. And that's something actually we have to watch all the time, being perfectionists.
Yeah. We're reformed perfectionists.
Although
congratulations.
Jodie has to hit me around a couple of times. Like, Emma, get it out. Come on. The other thing, a nice thought is branding is a process of differentiation. So just reminds people that they've really got to make sure they've got that strong point of difference. It's so much easier. Business becomes so much easier when you do have that point of difference articulated. And so it's very easy for people to see why they might go for your product or service over another. If you kind of just are in this sea of what everyone else is doing, you spend so much time on marketing and money on marketing to actually achieve that growth. So that's a good thing to always remember.
Sounds great. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I think, Joanna, do you have any other questions?
No, I think that's it. from us.
Thank you. It's been
Thank you,
so
ladies.
good chatting to you ladies today. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us, and
We're watching you.
Yeah, we can't wait to see where Bumper Leads goes for the future, and we're always here to support you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time.